In terms of sort of, I suppose, combining attack and defence and trying to get the balance of both of those working at the same time, has that been sort of a big focus in training this week?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, big focus. It was last week as well, but it didn't really show in the Newport game. Sometimes when you do work with the lads, it doesn't always manifest itself until a little bit later on when it actually sinks in, when you've done a couple of weeks' work. As you say, I alluded to, we got our 2 goals, but we also let 2 in, and the game could have gone either way. It was 2. I don't like the games that close where you're crossing your fingers in the hope that you score and they don't, even though both teams are having chances. So we've got to alleviate the opportunities that the opposition are getting at the moment. We've done all right for goals against up until Saturday, last Saturday at Newport. So I'm not going to lose faith in too many people just yet.
When you talk about sometimes the training process sinking in, I suppose it's a case of, the first thing you forget is quite often the last thing you learn, isn't it? So, learning does take time.
Yeah, it does, and a lot of learning, as you know, from when you was at school. You didn't go to school, did you? Anyway.
Only once.
Okay. Well, if you had gone to school, you'd have realised that it's the repetition that is learning. The repetition of your 2 times table and the repetition, all different things, and it's that that eventually sinks in and becomes normal. We always describe it a bit like driving. When you first start driving, you're thinking about everything, where your foot's got to be and putting in the gears, and now when we've had a few years driving, I don't recommend this, don't do this at home, but you can have a sandwich, you can listen to the radio, you can all sorts of things while you're driving, and it just becomes natural. That's probably a better way of saying it, and that's what you hope that when you get a settled team, it's because things are becoming a little bit more natural and the results will come then.
Do you spot within that process the faster learners who can sort of, if you like, take on a little bit more?
Yeah, some do it because it's like in them. They understand the game, if you like. They're seeing the same pictures as the staff. We're trying to put over pictures to them, and some of them can pick it up straight away. And then there's others, it takes that repetition to get into it. That's the level we're at. The boys that are earning the millions of pounds a week, often, and most of them, not all of them by the way, but most of them have got that natural ability to understand the game and know where they should be, where they need to be, and where to be dangerous, where to sit outside the play for a little while so that they can be dangerous, knowing that they haven't got to get the ball off this fella, but get it off this one, and they're in space. So like bump, bump. Some people look for the ball off everybody, and all of a sudden you've got no third man work, no third man runners, and that's what good teams have.
And if you can put it all into practice this week and get the win against Notts County, you go above them in the table. Is that a carrot for you to dangle in front of the players?
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure that's the carrot. The carrot is the 3 points. It's always, if you get the 3 points, you go above quite a few teams. So that's our aim really. The 3 points. You can't look at individual teams right now. Notts County were one of the teams that the bookies felt was one of the favourites to do well, but John Sheridan's a good manager, and I know he'll be working very hard with them. They got a lot of experience in their team if he decides to go with that experience. So it's not an easy game, and as I've said before, you'd have had to have worked very well to win the game, and that's what our aim is.
And obviously you've got this run now where you've got plenty of games at home. How much do you sort of try and ensure that you cash in without putting too much pressure on the players?
Well, there's always pressure on the players. They have to deal with that. There are key games that you get sort of later on in the league. Where you go, look, lads, this is a key game, and this is a little bit of a key game for me because we got 3 games before the 10 games, you're going to say to me, well, what are you going to do after 10 games? You know, there's not a lot you can do nowadays because you can't get loans in. But at least you've assessed a quarter of the teams at that point, and you sort of know where you are once you get to Christmas and what you need in and what's in that you don't need. So I know we've got 3 important games to make sure that we're competing and we're up there and in the mix.
How much is Aaron Downs pushing for a start after his sub-appearance last week and another hour for the reserves this week?
Has he told you to say that, has he?
No, I'm seeing Downsy.
Listen, Downs' training puts that in your mind, his games puts that in your mind, and he's like an 18-year-old now looking forward to a game, to a start. He's obviously very close, of course he is, and but he's still only played a couple of reserve games at the moment, and I might have to keep a little bit of a rein on him until I believe that I'm not putting him at any risk. He will say there's no risk whatsoever, and I'm pleased that he would say that. But at the same time, he hasn't played for 8 months, and the football league's a different kettle of fish to reserve games. So that doesn't mean to say that he's not going to be in, and it doesn't mean to say that he is going to be in because we haven't worked the team out yet. But I'll do what's right, and the good thing is he's champing at the bit to play.
Excellent news. Has Billy Waters responded in the right way after being hauled off at half-time last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit strong a word, wasn't it? Hauled off, as if I've got the old shepherd's crook out, get off. If things are not happening for somebody, then you need to change them. And there's been many times that Billy's come off the bench where I've hauled off, if you want to use that word, or brought off another player to bring Billy on, and then he's gone and won us the game, etc. So if somebody's not quite affecting the game in that particular game, then obviously I have to change something, because otherwise you can't keep getting it round your head with a stick. On occasions you got to duck and change something, and that's what I did in that particular. We all love Billy. We want him to do well. We want him to get 20 odd goals a season. Wrighty got his goal, albeit from the penalty. Although I thought Wrighty did okay in his general play, but could have had hat-trick quite comfortably. There was opportunities for him to get goals. So we'll wait and see what team I select, and then you'll know. You'll know my reasons. It's because I'm trying to play the most effective players at this moment in time.
How's Carl Storer progressing? Is it how you'd want at this stage? Obviously, you're not expecting him back yet.
No, he's it's not as quick as I would want, because he's had to have further treatment and further investigation. So no, he's not in our thoughts right now, because he's not ready to train or play. He hasn't trained with the team now for a couple of weeks. So he's sort of in our thoughts, but out of our thoughts as far as the next couple of games concerned.
I mean, that must be a concern, because obviously you'd hope the injection would sort of settle things down a bit. Yeah,
but he actually had to go for another injection, a slightly different one, and we're hoping that is going to be stronger than the previous one. It's a different type of injection, and it takes 48 hours. It was only a couple of days ago, so before we will know exactly whether he's pain-free at the moment, and we're going to need to wait till probably tomorrow after the weekend to make sure that it's cleared up, whatever it is that he's got.
Fingers crossed on that one. Everyone else okay?
Well, Amari's still injured, of course, and Holman's not back yet, so it's pretty much the same group that we had up at Newport.